Hi guys, it's Silverette again, and today I'm going to show you how to make custom scenery. And I've been thinking about doing this tutorial for a very long time, and I figured there are actually quite a lot of tutorials about this on YouTube, but I figured I would just make a very quick tutorial covering as much as I can, but just the basics, so anyone can learn really fast how to do this. Okay, so first off, you want to install the RCT3 plugin and the ASE exporter. You need the RCT3 plugin to get the dimensions right in SketchUp, and the exporter to export to the RCT3 importer. So yeah, okay, that sounds weird, but I'll explain that later on. Anyway, I always like to work on a quarter tile placement because that means that the object is more flexible in game. You can place it on a quarter tile instead of a full tile. It's just people who use custom scenery usually appreciate that. So in this case, I'm just going to make a simple footer. So I'm going to start off with a circle. And now one tip for anyone making custom scenery: if you use anything circle shaped like a sphere or a cylinder in SketchUp, use a polygon and not a circle, because a circle has many polys and that's going to lag your game quite a lot. I usually use a circle of either 16 or 8 sides. 8 sides saves you some polygons, but it looks less smooth. Oops. So I'm gonna go for a 16 right now, and I'm gonna make a small simple footer. So let's see, you can also just use the full tile to see what it would look like on a full tile, because this would be the size of the footer on a full tile. So I guess that's pretty much a bit too big actually, so I'm just gonna go for 80 centimeters. Just gonna type 0.8 in there. Oh yeah, always make sure that your game is on metric, because even though this plugin uses the RCT3 dimensions, it's a lot easier if you use the metric system, because Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 uses the metric system no matter what your settings are. So this is my footer right now, and I figure because this is a footer, but this is just for footers, I'm gonna extend it a little bit. So if you've got terraforming, for example, you can still have that, you know, going into the ground so that it actually looks like a footer. And I'm gonna extend this. Actually, I'm gonna make this a bit lower because it's not really 1 meter off the ground usually. It's about 30 centimeters, I'd say. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And now to find the middle of this, I'm just going to do this and add something in the middle right here real quick, and just like that. I'm going to extend that a bit. When it comes to importing textures, you need to import the textures right, and you can only use textures that are in the power of 2 and JPEGs. So for example, if you've got a texture that's 70 by 70, it's not in the power of 2, you can't use it. Also, it needs to be square, so if it's like 64 times 128, you can't use it because it's not a square. So I'm gonna go into my textures folder if I can find that, and it's over here, and all of these textures are, I think, yeah, they are square and they are JPEGs, and I'm just going to use a simple wall texture for the bottom right here. Okay, and I'm just gonna import that like, this depends on the detail of the texture. For example, this is, I think, a 128 texture, which is what I'd recommend because it's a high detail texture, but not too high detail, that'll lag up your game. And for example, a 16 by 16 texture, that's a very low quality, so I would not recommend using that. So I'm just gonna place that over there, and I'm gonna paint all of the sides with that. So I'm just gonna go to in model and take that texture and just paint it all around the sides like that. Make sure that you paint every texture, every side with this, because that's going to be quite handy with importing and stuff, and knowing which side is which texture, because right now this is not even that important, but it's just a guideline. And then for the middle section, I do want to have a recolorable texture. So if you want to get recolorable textures, then all you have to do is open Paint. Wait, I'll show it. Usually what I do is I open Paint. Come on, man. Paint. Okay, yeah, there it is. So open up Paint, get your size to be like 128, no 64, like 64, that's a better idea. And just take one pure color, like either pure red, pure green, or pure blue, because whenever you use recolorable textures, you can use up to 3 recolorable textures in one piece, and the first recolorable texture is going to be red, the second one is going to be blue, and the third one's going to be green. And since this one has one recolorable texture, I'm just going to make this red. It doesn't really matter that much, but that's basically how you get your recolorable textures done. But in any case, I've already done that, so I can already open those textures since they are in my texture file. Here is my pure red file, and I'm just gonna stick that onto this side because I want this to be recolorable. This is the part of the footer that connects the support to the footer part, so you want that to have the same color as the supports. And if you set this to recolorable in the importer, you can make this recolorable. Okay, and once again, make sure that you get every side. And now is a very important part of the SketchUp thing, because now the model was pretty much done, and all you need to do is group the different textures for the RCT3 importer to recognize, okay, I need to make that red and I need to make that concrete. So you can select every side, that's what some people teach, but you can also just go the easy way and say select all with the same material, and right click again, make group. And then for yourself, you're just going to call this red, so you know which texture you use, because you're going to have to select those in the RCT3 importer again. Okay, and for this one as well, we're just going to say all with the same material, and make group and entity info, and then just fill in the name of the texture that you used, because you're going to create a reference in the RCT3 importer later on for that. Okay, now I'm just going to save my model to make sure that I don't lose it. And then I'm going to, this is all good, there's nothing else you need to do in SketchUp. Now I'm going to export it to my documents, doesn't really matter where you export it. Okay, good. And now you need to open the RCT3 importer and create an OVL. Now what you do in here is you create a file that the RCT3 importer can recognize as a custom object file, and that you can later on actually import into a custom scenery set. So first of all, we're going to have to select our textures. Right, so first I'm going to select the red picture, the red texture, and this one is going to be recolorable, so I'm going to say one color, and then I'm going to import the other texture, which is over here, and that is, where is it? It should be somewhere in here. Oh wait, I forgot, I used the wrong name. Well, that's not going to be too much of a problem. I used this one. Okay, yeah, and no colors are going to be changed. And then you're going to open the ASE file that you created in SketchUp. So open that ASE file, and then it's going to say all kinds of things. First of all, you want to click this F because you did create SketchUp to create it. Always do this, because otherwise it's going to be in your game upside down or sideways or some kind of weird coordinate system. You don't want to have that. You want to get in the game straight and just the way you actually model it. And then for the faces, you want to make them double-sided, just in case. For example, if you have an object that has one face but textures on both sides, then one of the sides is going to be invisible if you don't do this. So for example, I once made a support set and I forgot to do the double-sided thing, and the supports would be invisible from some angle. So that's not something that you want. And then for this, we're just going to click A, and it automatically does the LODs. That's the level of details. And oops, I was almost going to save. Now prefix, you're just going to insert your own name over here, and the name of the object is footer, and then we're going to want to just do it in my document, I guess, and then you can go ahead and create the OVL. So then that's done, and then you would want to start actually importing that OVL into the scenery manager. But before you do that, you need to add one thing, a text string. This is going to be the name of either the set or the object in the game, or an icon texture, and this is going to be the icon that you see in the game. For example, Moby Steel Jungle, you see those support icons to know which support you're actually using. So in the text manager, you're just going to take both the name of the set and the name of the object. So for example, my set, I want my set to be called Silverette's Footers. So I do this, and I copy it, and that's done. And then I'm going to call this B&M Footer. Copy that, and that's done. So I can use the top one for the set and the bottom one for the object. And if you want to add another object, say a Vekoma footer, then you can just add another text thing. Then for the icon textures, I'm just going to load a random texture for the icon. For example, let me browse into my textures folder. Let's see. Let's say I want to use this. Okay, that's stupid texture. Then all you need to do is just do auto, that one, and then it just gives you icons, and it screwed them over now because it divided one icon into 4 icons. That should not happen, but in any case it should work, and then just create a good icon. But icons aren't that important, it's just if you want your set to be user friendly, for example. Now this is just going to be something simple. This is just for the folder of the thing in program files. This is not for the actual thing, but I'm still gonna do this. Now we can actually add the scenery. So for example, first of all, you want to select the OVL that you used. So once again we need to look for the OVL, open that thing, and location within the theme doesn't matter, you can just add MISC over there. And for the icon we're just going to use these things, and the name string of the group has to be Silverette's footers, and the name string of the scenery, that is the object, that's going to be the B&M footer. The scenery type, I usually do walls, because a wall straight, because if you do this it's going to pop up in walls, but if you use, for example, let's say a small object like small scenery, it's going to pop up in objects. And you can also make it a tree, a shrub, or flowers, whatever, and that determines where it's going to pop up. But I like my custom scenery to pop up under walls, so I'm just going to take wall. Now over here you have to make the position 0, 0, 0, the size 4, 4, 4, the size in squares 1, 1, and if you did it like I did on a quarter tile in SketchUp, you're going to have to select quarter tile over here, but if you did it on a full tile in SketchUp, you're going to have to do a full tile over here. Now you can make all of these things 0. There are some weird there's some weird parameters, like there's a manual to this, but it's very complicated, and you don't actually need them if you're just importing normal scenery, so you can forget about those things. Now that I think it's pretty much finished, oh yeah, you need to select the theme type. I'm just going to go for generic, and I'm going to save the theme file so I can add things to it later on. And just gonna call it Silverette footers again. This is just for yourself, so you can see what it was, and then install it, and then you're done. That's it, and you've just installed your first custom scenery piece. Now let's open the game. Okay, so right now I am in the game, and if all went well, then my footage should be right here, and yes it is. And you can see that stupid icon because it's messed up, and it's a quarter piece of the icon. Not sure what happened over there, but you can see that you can place the footer. It's looking ugly as it was in SketchUp, and it's on a quarter tile placement, but as you can see you can place it either in the middle of a square or on the sides, or even on the centers of like some of the edges. In any case, this is probably the best placement you can have for a custom scenery piece. And you can also see that you can recolor it in any way that you want, and I can show you that it's exactly the same color as Moby Steel Jungle, which is what you want to have if you're doing footers. And this is basically the standard recolorable color option. So as you can see, it's exactly the same color, so that's all great. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you can make some cool, awesome custom scenery sets with this tutorial.